Hello everyone, I thought I would make a nice video of how my Sony holobox came together and what it's made of. So we start with the base. The base is acrylic, painted in gold, but all the other parts is actually metal, it's brass, photo-etched brass. On the bottom we have some air gaps and obviously the inlet for the power and some brass fits. This is real brass as well. Inside, as you can see, there's a bit of an art deco pattern that I added. There's not a lot of photos of the actual thing, so I made up most of the thing. On the front there's a label that it says Sony holobox, and the writing underneath is very small, but because this is roughly half a scale, I would say, more or less, compared to the movie prop, so I call this the Alexa home version of the holobox. And underneath, well, there's just the writing that is taken from a vintage Sony product, and it's basically the address in California of our repair center. There's some pretend bulbs. They don't come on, they don't have power, they're just decorative, with again a brass plate on the bottom, which is nice and reflective, and yeah, a little rim, and then we have the rings, which are suspended by these brass rods. And there's a bit of a decoration as well on the top, again on the art deco kind of mood. Inside there's the electrics. There's not much of it really. There's a couple of LEDs. They're actually blue flicker, which were not quite successful as I was hoping. They are overwhelmed by the white light, but on the other hand they add a nice touch, and if you look very carefully you can see a little bit of flicker in there. And there's a remote switch, which is the biggest part of the whole thing, and then obviously the power in and the attachment for the light bulb, that we will plug in a moment. The power goes on. It's just a regular power adapter, 12 volts, with a 5.1, 2.1 jack, I think it's called. You just insert in, have a look and press it very gently but firmly until it goes in position. So I think this is on. The whole thing is not fixed inside. This can easily come off. So it can be repaired and it can be substituted if I need to do something in the future. And then you park it in its final position. You want the writing, the label at the front, and as you can see, when you plug it in, the light on the switch goes on, so that tells you that it is working. You can see that, so that's good to know. You park it down and then you plug the light. These LEDs G4 bulbs, also, they're very common. They come in all sorts of shapes. I wanted a something disc, and there was this one that actually had the pins on the bottom, but I'm gonna try other ones with other shapes to see if I can get it to interact with the flicker a bit better, in a different way. But yeah, the nice thing about this is that they don't actually have polarity. It's not plus or minus, so it doesn't really matter which way around I plug it. I just insert in and that's good to go. And then I get the holographic coil, which is a series of acrylic discs with a series of photo-etched brass, very expensive blades for the coil, and a 3D printed mushroom, which is the proper holographic platform. There are a few grooves to let the air flow inside, because even if it's LEDs, they do get a little bit hot. So I tried it on for over an hour this morning and it was okay, but yeah, I wouldn't leave it on for an entire evening or an entire night really. It's more of a showpiece and is intended to be used for a short period of time. I will probably make another version without these and just with LEDs, just to see how it works. And that obviously will not have any problem in terms of heating, because it's not gonna heat. So these again is not properly fixed. It just sits down. It's quite heavy. It's about probably 500 or 700 grams, so it's quite hefty. There's a lot of metal on it. So all it needs really is to sit correctly, and then it cannot come off. And then you choose your track. So the basic track obviously is the one that you see in the movie, which is Frank Sinatra. Funnily enough, I couldn't find a decent picture of Frank Sinatra full figure, so I had to make the body. So the body comes from another bloke, and then I just photoshopped the head of Frankie on it. or you have the bonus track, which is David Bowie, because as some of you may know, Bowie was meant to play a part in the movie before he died, and then obviously we never get to see that happening, but I thought it would have been nice to have him as a bonus track on my holobox. And then you're almost ready to go. All you need to do is to plank the dome or drome or glass bell on it, and there it is. It scratches a lot of dust, but in fingerprints, that's why I'm using the gloves. So now that it's on, I don't need the gloves anymore. And all I need to do now is to grab the remote. I've chosen a vintage looking remote. It's quite cute. It's cheap Chinese stuff, of course, but still, I quite like the way it looks. You know, I can imagine Deckard having something like this in his pocket. And all you do is press the button and it comes on. And I'm gonna try and zoom in a little bit to show you a bit of detail. Sorry for Spotify adverts, breaking the magic, but yeah, there it is. I'm trying to zoom in on the coil to see if you can actually appreciate with a different focus the pattern created by the air vents. Unfortunately the camera doesn't quite capture the flicker, is very weak, but all in all I'm quite happy with it anyway. I think it serves the purpose and is quite bright, which is always nice. And then yes, off again, on again. That's pretty much it. That's no music. As I said, probably in 2049 I will have enough skills and knowledge to add music and actually to make the figure move. But for now it's pretty much just a nice lamp. That's pretty much it really. Thanks for watching. Bye!